If the Green Bay Packers are an NFC contender and the Denver Broncos just took it to them in joint practice, what does that make the Denver Broncos? James Palmer and myself are going to break it down on the DNVR Broncos podcast starting now. My goodness, James Palmer. Did we just see the Broncos are back against the Packers?
Well, it's a joint practice. But I was pleasantly surprised. I thought today, because this happens a lot, I've been a beat reporter. I've been a national reporter for the last 10 years. And what happens as a beat reporter is you see the same group over and over again. And that starts to make you form opinions because you're not getting a chance to see anybody else or any other camp. You're going, I don't know, maybe this guy really is something.
Yeah.
Or no, this group might actually be pretty good. And then you see another camp and you go, oh, no, they're not. That's not up to par. I was fascinated to see after this training camp, I've spent almost the entire time with the Broncos. And I was like, let's see what happens as the Packers come to town.
Yep.
I think some position groups are showing me something. Maybe they're not what I think. Oh, they went out there and they played today.
Oh, yes, they did.
The Broncos were physical. The Broncos were competitive. The Broncos on the field, you can't watch both fields. So I wanted to be on the field that was closest to me so also I could hear a lot of what was going on coaching-wise from the Broncos sideline closest to us. I mean, we're only like 4 or 5 feet from them.
Yeah.
So I stayed on the close field, away from the fans, the one close to the facility. The Broncos won that field. Pretty handedly on offense and on defense. Because the way they split it up, let's just get this out there right away, right? It was the Broncos offense and the Packers defense on that field the first half of practice. Then they switched, and then it was Jordan Love versus the Broncos defense on that same field that I was watching the second half of practice. So you got to see both. The Broncos won that field, and actually they won it, in my opinion, pretty handily.
I completely agree. And James, the word I would use, at least for the portion of practices that I was able to see, because again, like you said, we're not able to watch everything. My eyes were on Bo Nix the entire time, except for the very end where I got to watch Bo and the defense. The word I would use is dominant. I mean, the Broncos took it to them, and we've seen it in joint practices the other way, where it's the 49ers coming to town and them absolutely taking it to the Broncos. And then what did they do? They went on to win a Super Bowl. So that was that was a very stark contrast, because that was Vic Fangio, no music. People made a big deal about the no music in town.
Yeah, and you're still upset, apparently.
Well, there was a big deal made.
There's no music today.
No music today. And the energy from the Broncos in that practice was nothing. And the energy for the 49ers was everything. And today, despite no music, it was popping. I mean, the energy was electric, really, from the Broncos. And they brought it today, and we're going to bring it on the DNVR Broncos podcast. We got James Palmer. And, of course, we're coming to you live from the Toyota Lounge here inside the DNVR Bar. The Toyota Lounge is brought to you by your local Front Range Toyota stores. Where do we start with this dominant day? Where do you want to go, James?
I'll go to the question I asked Sean, because the way he's run this camp has been extremely physical, extremely competitive. I was actually talking, it's nice when there's a joint practice. Things are a little more lax.
Yep.
I'm not going to, PR might have a lot more that they got to worry about. And there's a lot of pre-practice conversations you can have with some coaches.
Yep.
And as physical as this practice has been, as I joked with one coach, one position coach, they've used every single minute the CBA has allowed them to use.
That's for sure.
Out there and running gassers and being, as up-tempo as they have been. I asked Sean, do you think, the way you've run camp with all of the things you want to achieve, with the callus that you want them to establish, with the physicality, with the endurance, all of those things, was today a good barometer to show you if that had worked or not? And part of the answer I thought was pretty telling when he said, when you're fatigued and you're tired, that's when mistakes happen. And I think he was hinting at, we didn't get as tired today. We didn't get as fatigued today. We didn't make as many mistakes. We were able to make plays when you're out there. It was a little warm, and you're out there enjoying
The high's
practices.
95.
And there was not a lot of downtime either. You had a lot of reps. I think he showed, and in his answer to me, like, I think we're pretty well conditioned, and I think we're going to be able to be physical with teams. Physicality is a huge part of what Sean does in terms of the players he wants. I think we saw that today.
Yep.
Like, his team was competitive. I think when a team comes in to your practice facility, there should be a chip on your shoulder.
Yep.
You're like, you're in our house. I got that from the Broncos. And I was really impressed. I mean, really impressed with the way both sides of the ball played. I'd like to, at some point in this conversation, talk about the secondary. They played fantastic. And then, we'll get to the quarterbacks too, but it was a really impressive day for the Denver Broncos.
I completely agree. And like people in the Toyota chat are saying, James keeps it real. So if he's saying
you're starting to read the chats now too.
If
I'm
saying
contagious with how I tell everybody that we're going to read these chats.
If he's saying this, then it must mean that the Broncos were good. And they were great. And James, I think the perfect way to highlight this practice and just how good the Broncos were, and to talk about Bo Nix and the quarterbacks, and to talk about the secondary, is by starting with the very end of practice. And typically in practice, the very end is a move the ball sort of period, and that is the
2 minute
most
usually.
Yep, exactly. That is the most important part of practice. And so on one field, you had the Broncos offense going against Packers defense. On the near field to where you and I were, it was the Broncos defense going up against not just the Packers offense, but the highest paid player in NFL history with Jordan Love at quarterback there. And the situation was each offense started on their own 40-yard line. They're down 24-21, a minute 10 left, no timeouts. Sean Payton approaches these situations by saying, look, I'm just looking to get a field goal. And then if we get into field goal range and there's enough time left, my mindset shifts. And I say, okay, we're going for a touchdown to win this thing instead of just going to overtime. But a success in Sean Payton's mind is to just get a field goal. So do you want to start with the Broncos offense or defense first?
I didn't see the Broncos offense. They were on the other field.
Let's start with the defense, because while the offense impressed me, what's better than impressing? Because that's what the Broncos defense did.
Yeah, I mean, I was standing right there a few feet away from the Broncos secondary that's on the sideline right in front of me, and it's a screen from Jordan Love. He completes.
For 1 yard, I think?
Yeah, and then there's an out, and Riley Moss reads it perfectly.
Yep.
Who, it seems like when they go nickel, they want to put Riley Moss as the other corner opposite of Surtain. When they go base, it seems like it's more Damari Mathis.
That's something Vance Joseph pointed to yesterday. Well, it
we
depends
might mix
on
it
our
up.
defense. Yeah.
Exactly. But Riley Moss has great size, really good speed in the open field. He got a great break on it. Did he get torn apart by the sideline of DBs? Yeah, they thought he should have picked it. He got both hands on it. He probably should have picked the ball. But he read that perfectly. That's a PBU.
Yep.
Maybe should have been a pick. The next play, down the middle of the field, Jaquan McMillan plays it perfectly. It's too high, so he kind of drags the defender. Some Packers were yelling at him, saying, "You got beat," and he said, "It's 2-man, dumbass," which was an awesome way to do it. And PJ Locke literally could have almost picked that ball off as well. So that's 2 PBUs, 2 incompletions in this 2 minute.
Yep, almost a diving interception.
Yep. The third play, I'm not sure how many people on the planet can make this play. No lie. And he probably made a couple of them today.
Yep. So it's 4th and 9
4th
right
and
now.
9.
Gotta have it.
Gotta have it. There's a quick double move run on the outside. And Pat Surtain doesn't really break, but I think he breaks enough to where he wouldn't have been beat deep, and recovers and comes back, gets his hand between both hands, breaks the ball up. Another PBU off the field, wags the finger. I'm not sure how many people have the athleticism, the instincts, the length to make that play on the planet. Like, that was one of the better plays I've seen in a camp. He made another one across the middle of the field, because Jordan Love is a really accurate quarterback. He's really good at rifling the ball into a spot where only his player can make the play. There was a play down the middle of the field, too, that I was like, there's no way he gets this. And Pat dove, broke it up.
Yep.
He had a fantastic day.
Incredible.
But that play on 4th and 9 to end the game, essentially, and end that period with ones versus ones, it was incredible. And it was to the point of frustration for the Packers. What'd they want to do? They said, "Look, we want to run it back again with the ones after the twos and three. After the twos go, we want to run it back again." It was so hilarious listening to the Broncos silence. So, man, they want to run it back again. We just beat them. We just beat them. But the Packers wanted to run it again in that period.
And the Broncos defense obliged because the offense on the other side was moving the ball down, so they had some time. Because 4 and out, you get some more time.
They said, "Let's do it again."
And what happened? Well, really quick before we get to that. The twos went on the field, and I don't think the Packers got a first down at all.
No,
in fact,
did not.
J.L. Skinner was getting chirped up by the Broncos defense because he had a pick that he should have had but dropped it. Instead, it's just a great PBU.
There was a big discussion on whether that should be a fine or not as a drop pick from the corners. I won't tell you what the fines are. I think I'm allowed to say that. But
$10,
there was a big discussion. Yeah, it might be $1. Big discussion on the sideline whether that should be finable or not for dropping that pick. Did they end up getting a pick? Yes, they did. Down the middle of the field.
35. Reese Taylor
made the pick down the middle of the field. Yeah, he held on to it kind of like with both their hands on it. So they did get the pick, and then they come back, and it's what? Completion, outside completion, sack by Nick Benito, which was huge. Jordan Love wasn't super pleased about that. That kind of sped things up. 4th and 10, incomplete down the middle. Defense goes absolutely bonkers. DBs played really, really well. Secondary played really, really well, which we're very curious about how they will play. And I think we're going to see Vance Joseph might mix it up quite a bit on the back end. Week to week, scheme to scheme, and game plan to game plan. That might be what we see.
Yeah, 100%. And Jordan Love, you mentioned he wasn't very happy with the Nick Benito sack. There was something that happened early in practice.
He thought he could have gotten away.
That might make him even more upset about Nick Benito being close to him. Let's dive into that. Let's dive into the quarterbacks and how the offense finished in their 2-minute situation after I give a shout out to new friends over at Z-Biotics. And James, Z-Biotics is the world's first pre-alcohol genetically engineered by probiotics. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. And James, the older we get, the tougher those mornings are.
I thought you were about to be like, and you know about rough mornings. That's what you were going to say.
And here's how it works. When you drink alcohol, alcohol gets converted into toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. And just remember to make Z-Biotic your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. So this is proven or created by PhD scientists to help you tackle it. And the older you get, the harder those next mornings become. And with Z-Biotic, it helps with that. So whether it's vacations, weddings, birthdays, and reunions, there's so much going on. Get the most out of your summer plans by stocking up on pre-alcohol now. Go to zbiotics.com/DNVR Broncos to get 15% off your first order when you use the code DNVR Broncos over at zbiotics.com/DNVR Broncos. It's also backed with 100% money guaranteed. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money. No questions asked. And remember to head to zbiotics.com/DNVR Broncos and use that DNVR Broncos code for 15% off over at checkout. Thank you, Z-Biotics, for sponsoring this episode and our good times. And I also got to give a shout out to our friends over at Indeed, where if you're looking to hire people, Indeed is the place to go because they have over 350 million job seekers that look at Indeed every single month. And you can join over the 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed. Pretty good ratio there, about 100 people looking for jobs to every business that has a job out there. And they have put their website together where Indeed makes it easy for you to find the perfect match for your candidate. In fact, they make it hiring faster. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed study. So if you need to hire, you need Indeed, and they are going to give you a $75 job-sponsored credit if you go to Indeed.com/allcity right now. That's Indeed.com/allcity to get that $75 job-sponsored credit. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. And James, let's go to the other side. Oh, no. Yeah, let's go to the other side of the field.
I'm counting things.
What are you counting?
I was counting the 7-on-7 period.
Just how good the Broncos offense was, potentially.
Look good. They look pretty good.
And at the end of practice, they looked pretty good as well because they were in the exact same situation. And James, like you said, the Packers had 3 shots, 2 with their starting offense, 1 with their backup offense. Didn't get anything, not even one field goal out of that. And it was the opposite story for the Broncos offense. They start, Bo Nix is up first. And
to let you know the rotation today, it went, and this was agreed upon by both teams, 1s, 2s, 1s, 3s.
Yep.
That's how the rotation was agreed upon, I was told, by both teams on how it would occur. Bo was running with the 1s, but essentially that is how it went. That's why you saw a lot of Bo Nix reps today. 1s, 2s, 1s, and then 3s.
And James,
1's got a double dip.
I counted it, and I think Bo got like 46 attempts today, or dropbacks today.
Nice.
Which is wild. That's so many reps. And so he starts with the 1s, and he has a quick completion in the middle of the field for 8 yards. Then he runs up to the first down mark, or to the ball, gets a quick completion for 15 yards. So in 2 plays, they're already in field goal range. Then he hits Samaje for a gain of 16 yards. Then they spike the ball. So 1st and 10. Actually, he had 3 completions. 1 for 14 yards, 1 for 15 yards, 1 for 16 yards. And just like that, with 19 seconds left, the Broncos are 1st and 10 from the 17. They quickly spike the ball. Now you have 19 seconds left, and Sean says, I've seen enough. This is all I need. We're going to kick the field goal. They don't actually kick the field goal, but he calls it off. He says, we're in field goal range. All good there. With 19 seconds to spare. Maybe from the 17-yard line, you throw 1 or 2 to the end zone. Or maybe you just say, we've done our job. Let's go to overtime here.
Well, I don't think that's the way you would handle the game. Do you?
I think you take at least 1 shot to the end zone, especially with Bo Nix, who seems to always make the right decision. And not put the ball in harm's way. So Sean was.
Let's say that. That part,
put the ball
not
in harm's way. Yeah.
Don't say he always makes the right decision. That's pretty lofty praise for a rookie quarterback in his first training camp. I think Bo would even admit. I had a chance to talk to him after practice 1-on-1 for a little bit. But I think Bo would even admit he does not always make the right decision.
He doesn't make the wrong decision.
Does he protect the football? For sure.
Yep.
Definitely, yeah.
100%.
So I do think that part, yes.
So
in
Bo
that situation.
quickly goes down and completes the job. Then Jarrett Stidham's up going against the backups. And Jarrett Stidham, how does he start?
Deep ball?
16-yard completion. Not fully deep ball, but almost.
I was told last night there was a joke in the quarterback room how Stiddy does this. And remember, I've been maybe all 3 quarterbacks watched this DNVR show.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys do. Because there was how often do I say this every time I'm on?
Yep.
2-minute happens, Stiddy takes a shot, and it's completed pretty much almost every time. I think once he hasn't done it, right? And that's how he gets his 2-minute going. I was told last night in the quarterback room there was actually like a joke about it between all 3 quarterbacks. Like every time 2 minutes starts, Stidham takes a shot, and he gets it like every time. It was actually a running joke, probably because they're big viewers of this show, 100%. I would guess, about what he does. Yeah, it was kind of funny.
And we talked to Stiddy after practice today, and I asked him that question. I said, why do you do that? And then he played it off just like, well, it depends on the defensive looks. And, no, it doesn't depend on the defensive look. You take a shot every time. And so he did that. And we're talking about almost field goal range with still a minute left in this. Then he hits David Sills over the middle. The ball's at the 30 with 50 seconds left. Throwaway under pressure. They count it as a sack, so the Broncos back up 2nd and 15 from the 35, and he gets a 5-yard completion. So now you're 3rd and 10 from the 30. It's going to be a 47-yard field goal, 48-yard field goal. Should hit that, but Stidham says, no, I'm going for more. Okay. Then he has a 20-yard completion to get the Broncos, or 25-yard completion to get the Broncos down to the 5-yard line with 10 seconds left. Sean says, I've seen enough. In that situation, are you risking it for 1 touchdown pass?
I would.
I would too. Yep.
I think Sean's aggressive nature too. He's going to.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
And so Stidham goes all the way down to the 5-yard line. Bo goes down to the 17-yard line. Both of these guys just make easy work of the Packers. So on one field, you've got the Broncos defense absolutely dominating, literally giving up like 1 yard against the Packers' first-team offense. And on the other field, you have Stidham and Bo Nix just going right down the field. And like you said, the Broncos, Zach Wilson did not get a shot because it was just the 1s and the 2s on this period, in that period. Yep.
Yeah, it was. It's going to be really interesting. I mean, I think we know And I got some sense today. I got a lot of intel today.
You did.
Sadly, this is my last show because I got a lot more to give.
We got to change that, James.
We got a lot more to give. But I got a lot of really good intel today. It's going to be interesting. I mean, Bo's going to be the starter. But I think there's a battle for the number 2 spot.
I do too.
And I think they're going to keep all 3 quarterbacks.
I do too.
And I think they're going to keep all 3 on the 53.
I do too.
Because I think they like Zach Wilson. I think there's something there that they think they can work with. Mm-hmm. There is something intriguing about his game I think the Broncos and Sean Payton like. So I wouldn't be surprised if they kept all 3 of them and we get a chance to see maybe a competition for the backup job. Maybe they want to see if Zach Wilson can be Bo Nix's backup next season.
100%.
This is intriguing because he's had a good camp. He had a good day. I got a chance to watch a good chunk of practice with my buddy Chase Daniel, 14-year NFL vet, played in this offense a whole boatload.
Yep, knows Sean Payton very well.
And so I was like, bro, what if you just called it out? And he's like, let's do it. And we're watching 7-on-7. He's calling the whole play. He's like, all right, this is Z trips to the right, safety's high in the middle. If the safety drops in, you're going to want to go here with the ball. You're going to go here. And he was just telling me exactly where the ball should go every single time. It was so much fun. And so we're watching together, and he's just like, yep, that's the only read. That check down is the only play you can have against that defense. Against that formation right there, against what they're playing, that's the only place to go with the ball. And you know who he said that about a lot?
Who?
Zach Wilson. It's like, that's where you go with the ball there. Yep, that's right. That's a really good throw. That's where you go with the ball. He said the ball in that 7-on-7 period, by the way, it only hit the ground once, and that was on a ball that Stidham threw perfectly, but coming out of his break, Courtland Sutton fell.
Yep.
And went incomplete. Outside of that, all 3 quarterbacks completed every single ball in 7-on-7.
And that's exactly how Sean Payton thinks 7-on-7 should go. He doesn't think a single ball should hit the ground.
And it's about taking the completions. There's an interesting note Bo told me after practice. We were just kind of talking, and he was like, I was like, what do you think about, the whole world just saying everything's a check down? He's like, you know what I've learned in this game? Sometimes people don't tackle real well. Sometimes the check down can get you a lot of yards.
Yep.
And I said to him, you can get explosive plays in a lot of ways. He's like, for sure. For sure. I think going with the football in the right spot is something that all 3 of these quarterbacks are being taught. And I think it's completing the ball and moving the ball and sustaining drives the way this offense is built.
Yep, exactly. And honestly, being Sean Payton's quarterback on the field. I mean, doing what Sean Payton wants you to do. And so Chase Daniel knows where to go with the ball. He was impressed with Zach Wilson. What do you think of Bo?
He thought a lot of Bo. He thought Bo actually really. Let me look at my notes here. Do you remember the 7-on-7 throw that Bo had outside of Tim Patrick?
Yep.
Really early release. Really put it on the spot before Tim even broke. Tim got both feet in. Tim had a decent day. And he was like, that's perfect. That's literally perfect for that play. That's what you want. He likes Bo. He definitely does. He likes Stidham. He's like, Stiddy does everything right in this offense. He runs it how you should run it. I think the difference we're seeing right now is like Bo knows the offense. I love the way we're talking about all this Bo knows stuff. Bo knows the offense. Bo does not have the offense down pat. You get what I'm saying? There's a difference there.
Yeah. We've seen the jump Jarrett Stidham took from last year in this offense for the first year to the second year. It's massive.
Totally. So he knows the offense for sure. I know that. Does he think he has it down pat? No, he does not think that.
Yeah.
So I think that's noticeable once in a while, for sure. There's a lot he's thinking about. But also he's doing a pretty good job of digesting all of it. He is. He really is.
And he's not making the wrong decision. I mean, he is not putting the ball in harm's way.
No.
And James, I think the second most important period in practice, especially for Bo, is the red zone period, where they start around the 20. With Bo, they started at the 12 because this was the one time that he was in with the backups. And they start at the 12. The very first play, he hits Philip Dorsett on a slant in the middle of the end zone, right at the beginning of the end zone, and he has to put this thing in with so much force, and he throws an absolute dart in there to Dorsett. Great catch by Dorsett. Heavy traffic. There was only one place the ball could have been, and Bo put it right on the money. Dorsett comes down with a touchdown. Then the next play is a little screen that's broken up by the defense. They just batted at the line. And then the next play, Bo has another really good touchdown pass. Let me find who it was to. I'm looking here. I can't find it, but it was another great pass from Bo. Oh, here we go. Nope, I can't find it. But it was it was another really good pass by Bo. They did another red zone period, and Bo was absolutely money again. I mean, and it's these short yard situations. It's when it's 3rd and 4. It's when you're in the red zone. And what did Sean Payton say earlier this week about the red zone? We were awful last year in the red zone, specifically the tight red zone, which is 10 and in, and that is where Bo, and honestly, all these quarterbacks have made really good decisions, but specifically Bo, that's where the team might take their biggest jump this year, is just from converting in the tight red zone. I think last year they were 1 for 10, 2 for 10 in the tight red zone.
Yeah, I feel uncomfortable today, guys. It's hot.
It's still hot.
Yeah, it is. I agree, because we've talked about it on here. Like, they're going to need touchdowns down there. I don't know how many red zone trips they're going to have this season. Explosive plays. I talk to people around the league. They're like, I don't know where the explosive plays are coming from. They can come from a wide variety of ways to get them. But when your team as a whole may lack explosive plays, like this team they just may, like, you're going to need to have a really good red zone percentage. You're just going to need to.
Yep.
So when they get down there, they're going to need to get 7. And I think that's going to be a huge thing for this team. And you can tell it's been a massive emphasis throughout all of training camp, because they're going to need to be able to put points on the board down there. Now, in camp, you can't really tell, like, the short yardage, tight red zone that they want to maybe use Estime in and really just, hammer the rock down the middle and see what they get. Can't really see that too much in training camp with as limited as we are in physicality because of the rules. But, yeah, I think they're going to have to find different ways to, when they get down there, they're going to have to get creative and get points on the board, because they may not have a lot of trips this year.
And what did we see when Bo was on the field last week? I mean, he threw 21 passes in just a couple of drives, which is a lot. But these are going to be sustained drives. They're going to be 10, 11 play drives, and that's why it's so crucial that Bo truly doesn't make the wrong decisions, because you can't make mistakes when you're having these super long drives.
And that's the way the NFL is now. I was talking to a position coach in the division this week about it, and it was like, that's the way defenses are playing you. I mean, they're playing you to have as many plays as possible within your drive, hoping that you hurt yourself before you beat them.
Yep.
That's kind of what Vic Fangio has installed, and it's been used kind of throughout the entire league. Ask how frustrating it's been for teams that want to be explosive. Like Patrick Mahomes has had to dink and dunk the last couple of years because teams are just playing these too high. They want to force you to beat them with a lot of plays for a drive.
Yep.
And we were kind of talking like that's what the Broncos need to make sure that they don't do, because they're going to need to have these long drives. Then you can't have a hold. That's what the defense is like banking on. Like all of a sudden there's a hold and it's 2nd and 20 and the drive is in jeopardy now.
Yep.
Or, you hurt yourself with a false start, or you just, you get stuffed on 1st down and now it's 2nd and 10 or it's 2nd and 12 on the run play on 1st down, and now you're hurting yourself. That's what defenses are banking on. The Broncos need to find a way to sustain those drives, because they're going to have drives with a lot of plays. They're going to have to really make sure they don't hurt themselves offensively, for sure, which is also another reason why there's been such an emphasis, this is just my opinion, in practice that you see them have on the operation of the offense, the cadence, all of these things, because those are drive killers when you lack explosive plays.
Yep, 100%. And I think the big plays that Bo's going to have this year is going to be 15 and 20 yards. And then it's going to be Courtland shaking off the last defender to then go an extra 50 yards, or someone breaks out of the backfield. We have not seen Bo go deep. And when I mean deep, I'm talking 40 or 50 yards. Like, I can't remember one play that he's had in training camp.
Count them on one hand, and that includes 7-on-7, and that includes maybe there's 3, 3 of them.
Maybe, which is kind of wild for 18 practices to only have a couple of those. So it's going to be the 20-yard plays. We saw another completion to Courtland today. That was for about 20 yards. Tim had another one that he caught about 10 yards down the field, turned it up for probably another 10 yards. But that's what it's going to be. That's why it's so key that Bo is such a good decision maker. And James, there were a couple of other.
Do you want to jump into these comments real quick?
Yeah, you want to hit some of these?
Yeah.
But what's catching your eye in the Twitter chat?
I think I agree. Like Marvin and Jaleel are definitely your explosive players. Those are guys that need to step up and make a big jump this year.
Yep.
Those are your explosive guys. I saw Dulcich on there. I think you're right. I think he's kind of a mismatch. He can be an explosive player.
Really quick on explosive players, Troy Franklin, I still think he's a year away from being an impact on the team.
He had a good day today.
But he had a good day.
He had a really good day
Probably
today.
his best day. Didn't drop a single pass.
I think so. Came back to the ball really well. Helped his quarterback out a couple of times where, there's a ball thrown in tight coverage and he comes back and he goes and gets it.
Yep.
As opposed to waiting for it to come to him. He had a pretty solid day. There's guys that can make explosive plays on this team. I don't think it's like, if you look at the personnel, an overly explosive group of personnel. You better have guys that can make them. I mean,
right. This is the NFL.
It's the NFL. You can't have guys on your team that make this team doesn't have a single guy that is capable of making explosive plays.
Right.
They have some guys that can have a chance to make some. I just think it might be difficult to get them going. So they are going to have some probably longer drives.
Yep, they certainly are. James, there were a couple of other very noteworthy things from practice that I want to get to, including a little fight that broke out during practice. And I want to get to that after I give a shout out to our friends over at Infinity Park. James, have you been over to Infinity Park in Glendale where the American Raptors play?
I have not.
It's a cool spot. You got to do it. It's right by Home Depot and close to Target there in Glendale. And,
okay, I was about to say, if you say close to Home Depot and Target, that's listing like 12 or 14 different places in Denver.
That's very true.
Where there's a Target and Home Depot pretty close to each other.
And it's a really cool spot where you can go see the American Raptors play. They're Colorado's only professional rugby team, and you can catch their games on ESPN+. Plus, the Infinity Park just has so many cool events that they've got going on. Really cool stadium, very intimate for concerts and events that they have as well. They have their Rugby Sevens tournament, the ultimate rugby event of the year, is coming to town next weekend. 62 thrilling matches spread over 3 action-packed days in Glendale at Infinity Park on August 23rd, 24th, and 25th. You don't want to miss out on this extraordinary event that promises top-tier competition and unforgettable moments. Tickets are on sale now. To get them, visit rugbytownusa.com for more information. Gather your friends and family and join us for a weekend of spectacular rugby action. We'll see you there. You probably need to have a car in order to get yourself there. And Toyota is the car that you need, whether it's you're heading down to Infinity Park in Glendale or you're going up to the rugged terrain of the mountains.
Ooh.
Is that good?
Yeah. You're starting to get like your outdoors mountain vernacular down. It's taken a minute, but
it
you're
really
getting
has.
there.
I'm still working. Speaking of vernacular, I have a question for you after this, after I tell you about the Toyotas, because they've got Supras, which is like a little sports car. They've got sedans. They've got big trucks, including a hybrid Tundra, where, I mean, that thing has a hybrid engine to make it even more powerful. If you need to tow something up through that terrain of the Rocky Mountains, that is the car for you. So if you need a new car, check out your local Front Range Toyota stores at a Front Range location near you. AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota, the official automotive partner of the NFL and the official vehicle of DNVR. Okay, James, are you hip with the times? I'm talking like
hipper than that saying, yeah.
Are you hip with TikTok in the past 48 hours?
No.
Do you know what the word demure means?
Demure?
Demure.
I don't think so.
It's like the first time that I've ever felt hip, because I tweeted it, actually feeling pretty hip today. It means reserved, modest, and shy, but it's like now the word that the youth are saying in the past 48 hours. Let me know in the Toyota chat if you know of the word demure. Very demure, very mindful. That's a little hip thing right there.
No,
you can use that at home.
Look at that.
Same cool.
Demure.
Yep.
Okay. Tell the kids today.
So was a little scuffle. You mentioned Jordan Love wasn't very happy when Nick Bonito ran by him and almost sacked him, and maybe he was a little upset because he thought that he could have got away from it. Mm-hmm. Well, there was a play. Did you see the play earlier in practice? Because I think you were just watching the Broncos offense at that point.
I was only on one field, bro. I focused on one field.
So, and smart when you're watching Bo.
Yeah.
Here's what happened on the other field. Nick Bonito, it's team versus team. Jordan Love drops back. Nick Bonito gets close to him and then hits his arm as he's throwing. You're not supposed to do that.
That's a big no-no in
You
joint
are
practice.
not supposed to do that.
That's a big no-no.
So then what happens? The ball, not only is that like bad enough where you don't touch the quarterback, the ball pops into the air right into Alex Singleton's arms.
I did see that actually on the far field.
Yep.
Like, I saw the aftermath of the
And then he takes off and the defense is going crazy. But you know who else is going crazy? And it's not Jordan Love? LaFleur.
Matt LaFleur.
Runs right over to Bonito.
Matt LaFleur.
And just starts giving it to him. Understandably so. This is their franchise quarterback that they just gave, what, $250 million to?
That's a pretty egregious move.
100%.
Like, you don't hit the quarterback's arm in a joint practice. I mean,
was trying to think of like the penalty that is. You might that's equivalent of like getting kicked out of a game. Like that's how bad the penalty is in a joint practice. Is hitting the quarterback and then hitting his arm.
Can you imagine like Jordan Love tears something in his shoulder
Oh my gosh.
in a joint practice because Nick Bonito hit his arm while he was throwing? Like, I mean, I'm thinking about like Brock Purdy gets hit in the arm in the NFC title game against the Eagles.
Yep.
Tears his ulna. Like, needs surgery.
Yep.
Yeah, don't do that. That's a big no-no. I'm surprised that wasn't a scuffle. It was a small scuffle. Small.
And
it wasn't much.
No, there were no punches thrown or anything like that. But benches cleared a little bit on that field, and there were a couple of other times where that happened.
It was calm.
It was calm. Yeah. But I mean, there was a group of like 50 guys around each other. Later in practice, I think it was Omar Brown, safety Omar Brown, got into a little scuffle with the long snapper.
Ooh, I like
the
that.
long snapper threw him on the ground.
Yeah.
He gets up. Another Packers player comes over, pushes Omar Brown. This was during punt period. The very next play, what's the long snapper do? He has an awful long snap that goes beyond the punter, and it would have been a safety if not a touchdown for the Broncos.
Did he
if
get in
they're
his
able
head,
to
you think?
recover it. I think he did. Yeah.
Wow.
So Omar Brown winning that one there. Like you said, James, the secondary was unbelievable today.
Mm-hmm.
Got to give them their credit. Anyone else that you want to point out here before we give our quarterback scores and then move into a bigger conversation about this practice?
Okay. I thought Javonte moved really, really well today. He's on the field with another really good back. That was one part where the Broncos defense in a red zone period against the Packers starting offense struggled a little bit with Josh Jacobs. He had his way a little bit down there in the red zone. He is a really good running back. I mean,
especially when he plays the Broncos.
Yeah, the dude didn't lead the NFL in yards before for no reason. He's a really, really good back. I thought Javonte on the Broncos side had a really, really good day. I mean, I think people should be excited for Javonte Williams.
I agree.
My understanding is inside the building, they thought he was playing at maybe about 50% last year, health-wise.
Yeah.
With that knee.
And it makes sense. I mean, that injury typically needs 18 months to 2 years.
It was a massive injury.
Yeah.
Massive injury. Multiple ligaments. The fact that he even played last year is pretty damn impressive. The way he's moving right now is night and day, in their opinion, to the way he moved last year. So I think seeing Javonte out there cutting, like, he popped. I'm looking for guys that pop because there's not a lot of pop plays in these Broncos practices.
No.
It's not a lot of wow plays.
No.
He had some moments where I was like, ooh, yeah.
Especially really quick, I noticed his speed from the time he gets the handoff to when he hits the hole. It's really impressive.
Yeah,
the acceleration
like right behind the defensive line. You know what I mean? That part of the run has become much more explosive than what we saw a season ago. So I like that. I thought, like I said, I thought Troy Franklin had a pretty solid day. I thought Tim Patrick had a pretty decent day.
Yep.
We didn't see Vele out there, Devon Vele out, but there's optimism for sure. lower leg. Sean will not be specific at all about it, but he said it's even minor enough to the point he may play in the game on Sunday.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see him in these joint practices because he's really impressed a lot of people. I've actually talked to some people on other teams that are like, I've heard the name Devon Vele. So you know you're doing well in camp if some people on some other teams are starting to hear your name a little bit.
You know you're not being released either.
No, he's definitely not being released. No. Not at all. So that's a good sign. That's just a little side note that he was out there. Yeah, I think the secondary as a whole, I think starting to see Riley Moss get some confidence on the outside kind of popped to me a little bit.
James, I think he's your starting cornerback opposite Pat Surtain. I do think in situations Damari will play, but I think Riley's the guy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to read into it because like in base a lot you see Damari, and then in nickel you see Riley, and where do you spend most of your time? Nickel.
Yeah.
I mean, so you got two other really good corners there. So, yeah, I thought guys got their hands on the ball. They need those to be turnovers, though, for sure. I think that's a big part of it. But getting your hands on the ball, I guess, is step one.
Wasn't that the key in their 5-game win streak last year?
It was.
Like an incredible amount of turnovers that they had.
It was.
So they do have to take care of those opportunities.
They definitely do. So it's going to be an interesting deal. Sean says he's got about 60, 61 players kind of already locked in, and we'll see what the last spots kind of are with practice squad and other things like that. As I'm seeing in the chat here, how many do we keep, receivers, thing. I think it's going to be really fascinating. I think what's going to throw this for a loop are two things. It's keeping 3 quarterbacks, or it's going to be 3 things that are going to throw this for a loop. Keeping 3 quarterbacks on your roster, which might sound crazy, and I know you can bring one up repeatedly or whatever, but like more quarterbacks played last year than any other season in the history of the NFL.
Yep.
The second one being keeping a fullback. They really like Michael Burton. They like to run a lot of things out of sets he's in.
Yep.
They think they can run a lot of different formations. He adds to that. That changes your running back room a little bit. Changes what maybe your tight end room can be number-wise. And then the depth they have at receiver. Who do they keep? I mean, the Broncos definitely think there'll be some guys that are making rosters that are cut here at a couple of positions. It's going to be tough.
And I think because of everything you said, this is going to be a very heavy offensive roster for the Broncos.
Yeah, the other one would be Quinn Bailey going down. You might need to carry another offensive lineman because his versatility of playing tackle and guard. Now you might, losing that, you might have to carry one more offensive lineman than you thought as a reserve because he was able to fill multiple backup spots.
Yeah,
you could play 4 spots.
Yeah.
So that's actually a loss that like we might be looking at during the season going, man, that was a decent sized loss during camp.
Yeah, 100%. And then the running backs, like you said, do you keep Blake Watson? Do you keep Samaje Perine? Broncos have a lot of decisions, and they're just about 10 days away from roster cut down, and of course 2 games to go. James, let's give these quarterbacks a score for today. And because Sean Payton said he gets pretty much an equal evaluation out of today's practice as he does a preseason game, let's make this a preseason game worthy of points. Let's double it. This is going to be out of 20 today.
I didn't even know that was happening.
20 points. I'm throwing a curveball. Can you think on your feet?
I threw a pretty good curveball. Yeah.
Can you hit that curveball?
What kind of curve did you play baseball?
I did play, through middle high school. Yeah.
Through middle high school?
Through middle of high
school.
Middle
school?
No, through the middle of high school. Yeah.
I thought you were calling middle school middle high school.
Middle high school. I had a growth plate in my elbow.
Oh, boy.
That forced me to stop because it was cracked.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I know.
It's a shame.
Yeah.
Let's see. Anyway.
I wasn't like that good anyway. So
no?
That's okay. No.
Oh, I didn't know what kind of curve you threw. Where you closed the window?
Oh, I was not a pitcher. No. Absolutely not.
Oh, you were?
You were, though? You threw a dangerous one?
I threw my split was outrageous because I got these.
Oh my gosh!
I threw a great split.
You can get those things wide.
Inside out, yeah. So then you want this hole here. This is a little baseball talk. You want space here, so when you snap the split. I went to college to play baseball.
You did?
Yeah. 2 weeks at Ohio State. It was a tremendous career.
Hey, you still did it.
Yeah, I still got there. The way you throw the split down and then a curve that went over top, an over top curve, not a.
Wow.
But anyway.
Just hanging out with an athlete.
I can adapt to this curve. Yeah. Swisher was on our team. Nick Swisher.
So out of 20.
Give
me Bo Nix. Did he win the day?
I'm going to give Bo Nix a 15 out of 20.
15, all right. That's a pretty darn good score. I went a little higher. I was very impressed with Bo today. I went with the 17, and Henry also went with a 17. We've kind of already broken down Bo's day. Let's go to Jarrett Stidham. Where would you put Stidham? You're giving Bo a 15. Stidham better than that? Worse than that? About the same?
He's a little better.
Oh,
He was a little bit better.
okay.
Like 15.5.
15.
Just slightly better.
I think I'm right there with you with my grade for
Stiddy
Stidham.
was good.
I think I went with the 15. Henry went with the 14. So I thought that Bo won the day today. I just thought the red zone kind of took him over the top there. But Jarrett Stidham, I mean, 15 is still a really good score. So I thought he was really above average too. What about Zach Wilson?
Like 14.75. I thought all
like
three
it.
guys
I'm
played
right there,
really
too.
well together. Like Zach with limited reps today compared to, I mean, Bo had a ton of reps, which is what you wanted today in a day like today. But in limited reps, I think Zach made the most of his reps, if that makes sense.
100%.
He threw some really good balls today.
Yep.
Really
And
good balls.
So James, you're going 14.75. I went with a 14 for Zach Wilson, and Henry went with a 13. So we're all kind of in lockstep.
Wow, when you guys
on this
doubled
day.
it to 20, nobody wanted to go decimal points anymore.
Yeah, it's easy. You don't really have to. That eliminates the decimal points. But you're getting scientific with it. I like it,
Yeah.
James. And really quick, just on Zach Wilson, you mentioned you think they're going to keep 3 quarterbacks. I also agree with that because I think they're going to have to. If you want Zach Wilson on this team, like a part of this organization, James, I think Zach's going to go out there and have a really good fourth quarter in this preseason game. And then I think he's going to play a full half against guys that will not be playing in the NFL in game 3. He's going to be playing against 5th, 6th string guys. And I think he's going to dice them up. And if you cut a guy that just by reports had a really impressive training camp, and then you see the tape that he had a great preseason, and then you take into account, he was the number 2 overall pick and he's 24 years old. There's going to be a few teams that say, we'll take him and we'll use a 3rd roster spot for him, or we'll even have him as our backup. So I just don't think that you're going to have the luxury to get rid of him and then keep him in your organization. I do think that Sean really likes him.
I think they really like him. I think they don't want him to leave the building. I think this is a reclamation project that has gone very well. I think Zach has responded to it really well. I think he looks decisive. I think he looks comfortable. Somebody joked with me today because he has great coaching for a change, which is a dig, but maybe accurate. Like this fits me. I understand. Chase and I were kind of joking on the sideline. Like I low key kind of like Zach Wilson in this offense. Like it kind of fits. So I don't think they want him to leave the building. I think they want this growth that he's going through right now during training camp, when he has not had a bad camp at all, to continue.
Yep.
We're not out here saying he's going to steal the job and he's going to be the starter here or anything like that right now. But I think they like the progress that's happening. I think they like where he's headed. And all signs point to, like, I don't think they want him to leave this building.
Nope.
As they continue to look at this. So I'm fascinated by it. I think they keep 3 quarterbacks on the 53.
I totally agree. Sean Payton loves all 3 quarterbacks here. And James, if you have to find a spot for a 3rd quarterback, it's the most important position in sports. You find that easily. Even if you do have some other questions at running back and how that's going to affect you. You have a really deep wide receiver room. Sean already admitted, like, I think we're going to let go of a guy that's going to go somewhere else and play. And that's not what he wants. He said that so many times, but it just shows the depth that you have there.
That's not what you want, but that's what you want from your scouting department. That's what you want from your general manager.
Yeah.
That's what you want from the people that are making decisions on who to bring into training camp. I think you got to compliment those parts of your organization. But of course, no, you don't want anybody to leave and all of a sudden they flourish as well. But like, it's a numbers game at a lot of these spots. And somebody wrote, I'm looking toasty in the studio today. It's true. I did not put enough sunscreen on today. And I spent too much time in the sun.
Yeah.
I think I'm a little toasty today. And the air conditioning's not working in my car very well.
Oh, no.
I don't have a Toyota.
No, that's your problem.
Yeah. The car AC is not really cranking.
Oh, no.
I drove here with all the windows down and the sunroof open, trying to cool myself.
Well, tomorrow
When
you're
it's
going to need
90.
AC. Tomorrow the record high is 98.
Oh, I won't be here.
The high tomorrow is 98.
I won't be here.
You won't be here. Where are you going?
I'll be in the mountains. Where it's much, much cooler.
There you go. It's still going to be warm, though.
No, it's not. It's going to be the high of like 75.
Okay, so James, let's wrap up this conversation.
Be the call, bro.
We have so many people watching. Hit us with a thumbs up. Show James Palmer that you've loved him rolling with us throughout training camp. Hit us with a thumbs up. We really appreciate it. Helps us out a ton, and we really appreciate everyone listening to us on this Friday afternoon as you kick off your weekend. James, before we get to Super Chats, I want to ask you a bigger question about what this might mean for the Broncos this year, because a lot of people have the Packers competing in the NFC, if not like making it to the Super Bowl out of the NFC. There's some people that do.
Really?
Yeah.
It's kind of one team on everybody's mind that will make it out of the NFC. I would
49ers.
think. Yeah.
And then the Eagles and the Packers might be right there. Your Eagles?
The Eagles are good. Yeah, great roster, man.
I mean, I love Jalen
I mean,
Hurts,
they're kind of the opposite of the Broncos. Like, you look at all of these skill players the Broncos have, and you're like, I think some of these guys can take a jump and overachieve, and some of them can be explosive, and I like the group. And then, like, the Eagles are trotting out 2 number ones in A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, a top 5
$60 million for.
top 5 tight end in Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley. Like,
that's true,
shoosh.
Saquon. It's wild.
Jeez.
Okay, so, well, then let me ask you, how good do you think the Packers are this year?
I think they're a good team for sure, but there is something that the Packers are doing right now. This is when I put the mic up. That's what I really want to get into.
Oh yeah, you sit up too.
That's my tell. Yeah, the Packers are one of these teams that like to try things and push things and work on things that they are not good at right now. A big emphasis through all of camp has been Jordan Love's deep ball. I think he completed like 35% of his deep balls this past season. They want that to be closer to 50%. So what are they doing in practice? They're working on the deep ball.
Yep.
They're working on what they're bad at.
Yep.
So remember each team's approach in camp as well. I'm not saying I'm not gifting the Broncos like today because the Packers are working on some things. But yeah, they really like to work on the stuff that they're not good at.
Yeah.
So that is an emphasis for them. I think they are a very good team. I think that backfield's really good. I think that group of receivers are young and talented and deep. They got a really good tight end. They obviously have a quarterback that can play. They're a good team. They're a really good team. I think this shows you what we've been talking about. The Broncos will be competitive, in my opinion, in almost every single game.
Yep.
They will give everybody a game. And is that the worst thing in the world for this year? The first year after like the full rebuild where Sean's like, I'm putting my imprint on this team? I don't think it is. And then you get a couple of guys make a jump from this year. Like a Dulcich all of a sudden stays healthy, and you're like, wow, that's an explosive tight end. Like, you know, Jaleel makes a decent-sized jump. You see Javonte, what he was pre-injury. I mean, I have players tell me they're like, this is the best I've ever seen him. Some of those things happen, and then all of a sudden, like, you get a free agent superstar. Like, you get somebody come in and like something. I think that would be a sign that they're close if they're in every game this year, and I think they will be in every game this year.
And then being in every game means you could be 5-12. It also means that you can be 10-7 and really shock the world. And I think today, if the Broncos make the playoffs, if the Broncos have a winning record for the first time since 2016, make the playoffs for the first time since 2015 when they won Super Bowl 50, I think we're going to point back to today and be like, wow, I mean, we saw it there. They played against a good team, and they were really good on both sides of the ball. This is the most optimistic I've been about the Broncos in a long time because I think they have really good coaching, James. And I think that's what kind of wins you games at the end of the first half and then at the end of the second half. And I think that coaching from Sean Payton is going to be huge for this team. And I'm feeling, now that training camp's officially over, I'm feeling this team is for sure over 5.5 wins. And I know inside the building, Sean's questioning people like, why are we a 5.5 win team out there? Like, he doesn't understand it, and I can kind of see that now.
Yeah, I think what you find from today is the way I've pushed you, as competitive as you guys have been, how you all have felt that this is a very close team, that we're better than people think we are. You need validation days like today, right? You need the players to realize what they've been told by this coaching staff and the work that they've put in. Today was a validation day to go, yeah, we can hang.
Yep.
We can definitely hang. This isn't, you're not blowing smoke up our ass. Like, that we learned today that we were right there with the Packers on this field.
Yep.
I think these are the type of days that validate, what you've been teaching and how you've been working the group. So I do think that's a big part of the growth of this team this year. Big part of it. And you mentioned the coaching staff. I can't tell you how much I hear about Davis Mills, and the way he's handling a rookie quarterback.
Davis Webb,
yeah. Davis Mills was the guy with the super long neck for the Houston Texans. Davis Webb is handling a rookie quarterback. It's impressed a lot of people in the building. And then Joe Lombardi is like a calming voice that knows this offense inside and out.
Good.
And then Sean is like the enigma, like the wild card that just has all these thoughts and ideas from everywhere, and just on the field is just such a brilliant teacher and can scheme so much. I think you're gonna help the quarterbacks out a lot. So it's been interesting. The way the staff's been put together. Zach Strief is already kind of turning some heads as an O-line coach, a former player and that played it at a really high level in this system. I think is valuable. Yeah, I think coaching is going to play a big part in getting over the hump in those close games.
Yeah, Sean Payton's coaching tree is about to grow even more. Of course, Dan Campbell, very notable out there. He's in his coaching tree. The Broncos better soak up Davis Webb's knowledge right now because he might be an offensive coordinator next year, especially if Bo goes out and has a really good season. I'm now predicting him to. All right, James, let's hop into the questions to wrap this show up. Talk to the people. We've got our first super chat coming in from Maurice, who says, so I got a chance to ask Courtland Sutton a question after practice.
Dig it.
I asked him, who do you want this year, Court, Bo or Stiddy? He said, and I quote, I want me. Is Courtland Sutton still truly unhappy?
I want me. Wow. I mean, listen, if you put yourself in Court's shoes, did he get a little extra scratch? Did that make him happy? No. Does he know that he was on the trade block the last 2 years by this team? Yes, we all do.
How does that make you feel if you're Court?
I don't know. I wouldn't feel great about it.
I agree. Yeah.
I don't know. I've never been traded. But it probably doesn't feel great.
No, I can't imagine.
Yeah,
we kind of want you, but not. You're expendable.
Hey, we think you're a good player, but we kind of want you to play for another team.
If no one else wants you, though, we'll have you back.
Yeah. So, I mean, that is tough.
Yeah.
And he's been a pro here through a lot of adversity as a team, for sure. So
9 different quarterbacks.
Listen, I'm not going to get upset about any receiver saying I want me, I want to make plays. That's the way you're wired as a wide receiver. That's the way you should be as a wide receiver. You should be, throw me the ball and I will make plays for this offense. I dig the answer. Because also, what's he going to say? I want Bo? And then, you know what I mean?
He could have said, I want Zach.
You can't say that. So, I like the answer. I want to make plays.
Also, James, there's a clear number 1 receiver on this team, and it's Courtland Sutton. There's not a clear number 2, number 3, number 4. So he's going to have an opportunity to make plays. He's going to have an opportunity to have his best statistical year with the Broncos this year. He's just going to have to capitalize on those.
A lot of super chats. Let's go, baby.
Next one from Valesco, who says, thank you for the awesome coverage of the Broncos training camp. Greetings and love from Germany. Go Broncos.
I love it.
A little late night in Germany right now.
I spent some time in Germany this past summer.
Oh.
Loved every minute of it.
Where'd you go? All around?
No, kind of all around. We were in Munich for some time, which we really, really enjoyed. And then we used to have an exchange student here in Denver, Lada. She was a high school student. She lived with us a few years back. And so we went and visited her family in Mainz, really Germany, which is kind of a suburb of Frankfurt. So we were in Mainz, Germany for quite a bit. And I got to, ride with her dad, Jan, on the Autobahn.
How fast you go?
We went about 145. And I think it was miles, actually.
Oh, yeah. Wow. That's hitting 200.
Yeah. So, we were cooking. We were in his Porsche. And, and I love Germany. I had an absolute blast. We will be back for sure. Love Germany. But, yeah, that's awesome.
Next time you got to go to Oktoberfest. I went there once. It was wild.
Well, Oktoberfest during the football season.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's a tough gig to do.
The blind swordsman chiming in. He says He's beginning to believe.
Wow.
Yep. I think everyone's going to be believing in
that's something
Broncos
you didn't
country.
say.
I think I've said it in the past.
Okay,
Yeah. Why? Because it's cheesy? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's just right up your alley. It's right up your alley, man.
Rod says, no, Zach. My girlfriend now loves DNVR because you use the word she's been using for the last day, demure.
Demure,
I hate
wow.
the word. Now she is now a fan, and today is her birthday. Well, happy birthday to your girlfriend, Rod. He says, when she heard you say that word, she said you were hipped.
Wow. Is hip the word, too?
I don't know. Now it is.
Plural
I love it.
past
Rod's
tense
girlfriend
of
making
hip?
up hipped. I love
It's
it.
very
It's
swoop.
very swoop name there, or word. Next one from Mason, who says, what is Bo's most underrated aspect of his game that nobody has really talked about
Ooh,
during
I like
camp?
this question. I like this
I do
question.
too, especially because we've talked about Bo so much.
I would say his mental acumen to not make the same mistake twice.
Yeah.
I think as quickly as they need him to grow, having a chance to talk to him a little bit today too, like his ability to bank things, like see it once, kind of bank. I've never seen that before. Bank it, try to like learn from it, is a really underrated quality to early growth. And I think he has that. I think that's a big part of his game. And if you're going to grow quickly as a young quarterback, that has to be a huge part of your game to be able to go and do that. I think that's kind of something that is maybe been overlooked a little bit because so much of our focus is on the field.
Yep.
This is what happens on the field. It's what he does in the meetings with it that night and then taking it to the field the next day.
And I think that's why we've seen such an exponential
I think that's why
growth from him.
I think it's why it's just he's stacked days, I think, because of that trait.
Yep.
So I think that's a decent one, yeah.
The one thing I'll say, he is so calm on the field,
Poised is
off
a good
the
word.
field, poised. And I mean, you can see the 61 starts in college roll over to that. The 24-year-old married guy, like he is very mature in that way.
For sure.
And that's not people just saying it. He really is. Steven comes in and says, you think Bo Nix was named after Bo Jackson? It makes sense with the Auburn connections.
That's a great point.
It really is, especially
really-
B-O. Like both spelled B-O.
Oh, you want him to spell with an X?
Oh, well, it could be B-E-A-U. That's another way to spell
That's another way
Bo.
to spell Bo, yeah. Hey, I wouldn't put it past him. I mean,
No.
There wasn't like an overlap with his dad and Bo, was there?
I don't know, but obviously, I mean, dad, big athlete too, could be.
Yeah, at Auburn.
Yeah, maybe we'll ask him next time we talk to him. Rod again chimes in and says, Jimmy P, bookmark this. I said it now, 10 to 11 wins.
I love it.
You think they can get to 11?
It'd be awesome.
Yeah,
this
it
one
would
goes
be.
to 11.
Yep.
The demure kids don't know what movie that's from.
Yeah, I don't
they?
know what that's from. No, this one goes to 11.
Yeah.
I'm a
Does
demure
anybody,
kid, James,
you're
now,
a
so
demure
yeah,
kid?
I don't know what that means.
It's from Spinal Tap.
Oh, I've heard of it.
Their
That's
speakers
about it.
actually go to 11 instead
Oh,
of 10.
wow.
They had them adjusted. Yeah, okay.
Behead Moon says, Zach, JP, my guys, choose 4 players you think could be first-time Pro Bowlers. And
Ooh.
how was Coach Todd Davis? Cheers from the top of a mountain in Cherokee, North Carolina.
Oh,
And
I
for
love
those
the
of you who
top
have
of
been
a
asking
mountain.
where Todd has been, he's been coaching. He's been
He
out
has
there on the
He's-
field.
He's been having a blast, man. I talked to him when he got off the field today, and he was all excited about the alt cast. He was like,
yep.
man, he's like, that alt cast is going to be sick. I was like, it certainly is.
If he wasn't on the field, you'd probably have him on.
Stink got really upset with me this morning that that he's not a part of it. He wasn't happy.
Are you doing only Super Bowl 50 guys?
It is all Super Bowl 50 guys. Do you want me to tell you the guess?
If you can, yeah.
One's a running back.
Okay. C.J. Anderson. Okay. I love
One's,
that's great.
One's another member of the no-fly zone.
No fly zone. T.J. Ward. Yep. Oh my gosh, you're gonna have
We're
some
gonna have a blast.
censoring to do, James.
We're gonna have a blast. And it's not up to me. I'm not in charge of the censoring. All right, Pro Bowlers. I think there's a chance Javonte can make a Pro Bowl. I think there is.
My only hesitation would be such a split backfield, but I like that.
Do you think it will be a split backfield?
Yeah, with 3
Okay.
guys.
Okay. I think he has a chance.
This is tough.
This is tough.
I mean, a pass rusher, one of the guys from OH.
The hard part is, yeah, but like so much of Pro Bowling voting, you usually make a Pro Bowl the year after you deserve to make the Pro Bowl.
It's very true.
That's usually what happens with the voting and the way fans are voting and things like that. Like, you usually have the breakout year, you don't make the Pro Bowl, and then you ride the coattails of that year into a Pro Bowl season the
Yep.
next year.
Yep.
Is what usually happens. So that's going to make it, I think, a little difficult for this group. Obviously, Pat's been to a Pro Bowl, so that's not a first
How
time.
about Quinn Miners? He was a guy who picked up a lot of steam last year, and then obviously with the contract, people look at that stuff. Him.
Yeah, that's a really good play. I think Quinn Miners is probably one for sure. Has Zach Allen been to a Pro Bowl?
Nope, that's a good one.
It's
really
probably
good
one I would think
so
of.
He could get 8 sacks from the interior of the defensive line. That would be huge.
Yeah, I'd say Zach Allen. That's probably my 3.
Greg Dulcich, man, if he stays healthy.
Just tight end's just so hard, man.
It's true. It's very true.
There's just so, especially in the AFC, like there's just tight ends that everybody knows, no matter what.
I'll throw one out there. Bo Nix. What do you think of that? What do you think of that? Was better than Jordan Love today, and he's $55 million quarterback.
I think that's ridiculous.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
Will Lutz is the obvious one.
Oh, Will Lutz.
Okay,
that's
let's
a good
see.
one. Yeah.
Lutz's had a
push
hot
for
camp. Yeah.
He definitely has. Next one coming up.
Wait, real quick. I have an update on the Bo Nix, Bo Jackson thing.
Bo Nix, Bo Jackson.
He was named after his grandfather, who was named Bo, not Bo Jackson.
Was his grandfather named after Bo Jackson?
His grandfather way down older.
Was his grandfather Bo Jackson?
His grandfather was Bo Nix as well.
Oh,
is Bo Nix the third?
No, because his dad is Patrick Nix.
Patrick Nix. Oh.
Wow.
Patty Nix.
Patty Nix.
Okay, let's go.
Next one from B. Hadmoon. Oh, he just throws another one out. Says, and shout out to Hank wherever he is. Yes,
wherever he is.
Shout out to Hank. He'll be back next week. Evan chimes in, rounds us out here. Says, shout out to Zach. Your training camp Twitter updates are the best in the business.
Big
Thank
time.
you so much, Evan.
They
Really
are.
appreciate that. Really appreciate everyone rocking and rolling with us in the Toyota chat. Hit us with a thumbs up before we get out of here. Broncos game. Sunday night game. Make sure you're tuning in to the Altcast during the game.
I think the Altcast will be better than the broadcast. And listen, if you're listening to the Altcast, you tune into it, you are watching the game.
So it's just
remember,
like the Manning cast.
It's just, you're not like you're just hearing us. Like you are able to watch the game there, and you'll hear Keeb Talib and Chris Harris and myself and our guests talk about the game.
That is going to be incredible. So we've got a pregame show, so tune in with us about 5:30. Then tune into the Allcast with James and jump back over with us after the game for our post-game show. James,
maybe I'll jump on the post-game show.
Oh, I love it.
From my house.
I love it. Yeah, I'll be at the stadium, so maybe we do that.
I don't know. We'll see.
love it. James, we've also loved your coverage in
been
camp.
fun, guys.
It's been incredible insight, and we hope to have you back as soon as possible. You're a busy man now. Make sure to stay tuned to James's life update.
We got some stuff in the works.
I love it. And James, love you. Thank you for rolling with us. Everyone have a great Saturday, and we'll see you back on Sunday for the second preseason game. Let's go.
Game.
We all silly like the mayor.